The Remedial Herstory Project is a nonprofit working to get women's history into the primary and secondary history curriculum. To help us meet our goal, we produce media, lesson plans, and so much more. You can check it out on our website, www.remedialherstory.com. Our project is funded through grants and by patrons, potentially like you. Thank you to our patrons, Jeff, Barbara, Brooke, Christian, Kent, Jenna, Nancy, Megan, Leah, Mark, Nicole, Alicia, Katya, Michelle, Jessica, Laura, Jackie, Annabelle, Dawn, and Megan. If you would like to join these wonderful people and become a patron, you can head over to patreon.com and become a supporter of the Remedial Herstory Project. You too can help us reform education and allow women to be seen, heard, and complicated.
Hey, Kelsie.
Hey, Brooke.
Want to tell everyone what's happening in today's episode?
Today, we are wrapping up season 2, and we are celebrating 100 episodes.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding.
Yes.
100 episodes. Let's get into this.
Moses, let's get into this.
Hello, and welcome to Remedial Herstory, the other 50%, the podcast that explores what happened to the women in history class. Now, here's your host, Kelsie Brooke Eckert, and her partner in crime, Brooke Neva Sullivan.
In this episode, Brooke, we are celebrating. There are no questions. Well, actually, there are questions. Are you ready?
Fire away.
Okay.
Pepper me.
It is the end of season 2. It is our 100th episode.
That's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
I'm
right?
done hanging out with you now. This is actually the final podcast.
Hey!
See you later.
What the heck?
Just kidding.
So this season, we decided to break the whole series into themes. And so we had a bunch of themes. We started the year with empresses, monarchs, and politicians. Then we moved to social reform. Then we looked at women and war. We did women explorers and pioneers, women in world religions, and then we ended with queer women in history and women in business. And
I mean, it kind of makes me tired just thinking about it.
Right? There was a lot of things that we covered this year. What was your favorite theme?
I liked so many, but I really liked where we started. I'm always here for some queens and empresses and royal and regalia and regal ladies who are just badasses.
I like them because a lot is known about them because they're
Me too. You just get a
power.
lot. Yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot that I feel like I learned, though, that I didn't know, which I always love. You know me. I'm all here for the learning. I
just finished when we had interviewed Shelley Puhack for episode 4 on Fredegund and Brunhild, these medieval queens.
Yeah.
Her book hadn't come out yet, and so I just finished reading her book. Ooh. And I am pretty much obsessed.
I'm so surprised. It's really unlike you.
I can't. I mean, I don't. She did a good job in the episode not giving spoilers, and man, there's some good stuff. And she is a good writer, man. It was amazing. Like each chapter ended with like a cliffhanger where someone important died, and it's no secret Fredegund's crazy. She murders many people. She's they've credibly linked 12 different assassinations to her.
What?
Right? And that's just assassinations, let alone the people that she's off with their head, so it was pretty, it was a good, very good book.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I really liked learning about that from her. I liked the episode.
Yeah.
Okay. What other themes did you enjoy?
I loved, I'm trying to remember. I really liked our episode on when we got to think about the woman who invented MAD. I thought that was really cool and definitely a topic that I felt like I understood a little bit more about and could get into, but so interesting on her life and who she is and how she shows up in the world. And
it's just really cool when people take, we just interviewed Allie Orr a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
When someone takes something really bad that happened to them, like in the case of the woman who founded MAD, and, her daughter dies from a drunk driver, and, she took this like moment of pain and made something really positive out of it and produced a lot of change in the world and probably, saved millions of lives.
So that was such an impressive story and who she is. I also loved our episode, not to bounce around too much, but the women in healthcare episode, that was really interesting to me of like how far we have come, but how far we need to go for women's healthcare.
Yeah.
Just really interesting. And I think I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, but Eleanor Cleghorn? Am I saying that? Dr. Eleanor Cleghorn? She was impressive.
She was very impressive. I loved her accent.
Same.
Interviewing her was such a treat.
But just like how much medicine has changed.
Yeah.
But also how bad it was for women to be misdiagnosed and to have challenges.
Continue to be because of the hit. I think we neglect sometimes in history how, like in any field, you read the classics, right? And so what are the classic medical texts? Well, they were produced by all male physicians, right? Like,
well, and even the patients were male that they would do autopsies on or studies on. So, and they just consider women little men. It's like, that's actually not at all the case.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
I really liked that episode too. The episode right before that, episode 17, we interviewed Dr. Dorothy Cobble, and she's a professor at Rutgers, about women and in labor in the 20th century, kind of like World War II era. And the question was, did World War II bring women into the workforce? Because I feel like that's like very hammered home in most history.
I feel like everyone has, and right now, think about World War II. Yeah. There's a female icon. She's on a poster.
Yeah.
And
go.
Oh, Rosie the Riveter?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And that's like the one woman in history people can name, and she's not even
and
real.
she still has a Halloween costume. She's not even a real person. It's like every year there's a Rosie the Riveter kid walking around the streets. You're like, great. That person never existed. But good.
Yeah. Well, she did, but she was many women.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, I have loved reading and learning from some of the people we've interviewed on the podcast, when even I have these notions that like, oh yeah, like World War II definitely just brought women into the workforce. And she's like, yeah, but class that. Like, did it bring poor women into the workforce? No, they had been in it for a long time.
Right.
Did it bring, and like, what do we mean? Like, because that also gets into like, just our definitions of the workforce. So anyway, then what are women doing? Are they not working? Right. Like,
yeah, exactly. What have they been?
Talk to any stay-at-home mom ever, and she'll tell you she's working.
Oh my gosh. We owe them so many back taxes. Okay. Yeah. No, all of those episodes were really fun. I just loved how many people raised their hand to participate this year in being interviewed for our podcast. I know we changed up the format a little bit. We put things into themes. We, did a little bit different style, but
there were some people we interviewed who, I interviewed them months before their episode actually aired because it didn't fit with the theme we were currently doing. And so nice of those people to be really patient as we hashed out the themes. Such a cool thing. Before we move away from the themes though, I really liked the theme on war. Like I like most history teachers, I got into this subject, history, poli-sci, because I like learning about war and politics and diplomacy. And so it was really cool to have so many professors share with us the ways that women are present in those things that I like talking about. Like, I think a lot of people get into it and don't want to be, queer and women's studies professors, and, like they want to teach about war. And it's like, cool, but you can still be inclusive there. Like, and here's how.
Yeah. It's like, no. Absolutely. We want to talk about war and all the important moments in history that have happened, but we want to make sure that there are women in the story that were there.
Yeah.
Like, don't just knock them out because you want to save on time or there's someone you want to make sure you highlight that's male.
Yeah. That was a really cool theme for me, because it was still kind of traditional history, but it just felt pretty powerful to include women's stories there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The Remedial Herstory Project is hosting its second annual Summer Educators Retreat to help teachers integrate more women's history and literature into their curriculum. Studies show that educators currently teach women's history between 5 and 20% of the time, with 5% being the plurality. Our retreat will feature speakers from around the world and be available online and in person, and provide educators with dozens of packaged lesson plans, videos, and other tools and resources to get women into every unit of their curriculum. The best part is that in-person attendees will get to network and relax with peers who are passionate about working to incorporate the diverse history of half the population, all but left out of the history classroom. The retreat will take place at New Hampshire's Common Man Inn and Spa at the heart of the White Mountains of New Hampshire, the best place to be in August. The retreat will take place between August 8th and 10th. Interested people can learn more on our website at www.remedialherstory.com/summer-educators-retreat. I liked interviewing Tanya Roth a lot. She is a high school history teacher, and I thought that she really spoke to our audience of, other people who are working with young people trying to figure out how to get women into these stories. And I liked learning about the post-World War II period from her. That was really neat. That was episode 26.
Yeah, so fun. I mean, obviously, I am obsessed with our queer history theme.
Yeah. I know when we first started talking about this episode, you were like, how about all of the ones under queer history?
Everything on queer history. For me, in my own education, I totally missed out on some incredible stories about men, women, non-binary individuals, trans individuals. It just really loved getting into this topic, and I feel like I could live in queer history for a lot longer, and I'm so excited for what's coming out and in research right now, and that people are really spending some time focusing in on getting the stories out there, finding primary resources, really, stretching the narrative. I think, Stonewall is always one that I've known of, and the history of that event and the date and Pride Month and all these great things, but
yeah, we gotta expand beyond that, because I think it's over. It's wonderful and it's amazing,
but it's kind of
so
but the one event that you get queer history in your education, and then it's and blip on to the next. Yeah, and you never hear about it again.
I really loved Dr. Cartier's episode on sort of the pre-period and how gay bars really were such a powerful space for queer people. That was amazing. I did want to plug, we did a small theme on that, but there is so much really amazing scholarship. There's a great podcast out called Making Gay History, and we're going to give them a free plug here on the show because it's
it's worth it. They're amazing.
Amazing podcast. And there's also a new book out. I love surveys of U.S. history from different perspectives.
Nerd.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. But sometimes, I don't know, history teachers do. It's nice to
I'll take a survey. Do you have a survey on that?
Survey course, please. So this is it's a queer history of the United States. It's available in a couple different forms on Amazon and elsewhere by Michael Bronski. And I'm really excited. He talks a lot about how we need to centralize gay figures in the past and understand very similar to our message, which is women aren't just the sideline; they are central to the story, and also the challenges of writing and talking about queer history, and we struggled with that in that whole theme. And I was asking questions that I don't might have been wrong questions, but do we know that person's gay? And a lot of times they were does it matter? They were definitely queer and definitely had these relationships with people that were different than other people's relationships, more heterosexual relationships. And
we should honor that.
And we should honor that.
And speak to it and highlight it in a way that, in addition to that being part of their culture and history, they also lived in a time when that wasn't, always accepted and welcomed and celebrated the way that
Yeah.
it is
or
today.
Sometimes it was. I think that's the other thing that like boggles my mind. You know, when we look at our episode from season 1 about Byzantine history, like if you'd asked me Byzantine history, I would have been like, yeah, so they definitely were discriminatory, right? And, you know, like I'm thinking the Christian, you know, Eastern Orthodox, and no, like they're very open and very tolerant. And I was just like, what? Like that's so interesting. Like a lot of times our preconceived notions of the past are just so wrong.
Yeah, it's a little bit of brain breaking to take out our assumptions. And I think I love that we get to do that on this podcast and think about those things, but also challenge ourselves every once in a while to be like, wait, what do I know about that? That's incorrect. And let me get a more holistic view of this. Or, you know, when I hear it, when other people are like, you know, in this time period, it's like, actually, there's a lot of trans men in that time period that were out and celebrated and were in relationships and like living their best life. It's like, oh, all right then. I'm here for that.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's so cool. I think like you, I'm very grateful that I get to have my brain broken a little bit every day when we sit down to do this.
I mean, it makes me think about too, like not to skip over, but our Title IX episode. I think immediately when we think Title IX, we all go to sports.
Yep.
And we actually dove really deep into that's not the case and got a great chance to talk about that and where Title IX law comes from and how it came about and why it's so important. But
yeah, that was episode 40. Yeah, such an important topic.
I love that you can just, you have your laptop open.
Yeah.
Like, how do you just recall every number?
That's how my brain works. I work in numbers.
I was like, okay, Kelsey.
No.
We're going to the casino next for counting cards.
Yeah. Actually, episode 41 on the same queer women in history, talking about Hildegard de Bingen, I want to I might do a deep dive and like get a PhD and write my dissertation on Hildegard de Bingen.
Diving in.
She's so awesome. And I like every time I open up a book to read about her, I am just my mind is blown with the way that she circumvented the patriarchy from a convent and was just like,
yeah, she double middle fingered a lot of people. She was like, not you, not today.
Yeah. And like her love story is just so powerful. And I'm obsessed. I'm getting into like ancient and medieval history a lot these days. I know it's kind of weird. But if you'd ask me,
I'm into the Kardashians right now. So
okay. Well,
they're women and they're in history. Okay.
that is accurate.
Momagers is a thing.
I know. It's true. They are going to be.
But I'm happy for you in your medieval times.
Thank you.
Do it. Do it up.
Thank you.
I don't know. You definitely have altered my brain enormously about the church.
Yeah.
Thinking that it was like this awful place for women. And in reverse of that, it's actually this like bomb hangout where men weren't allowed.
Sometimes, yeah. Like different periods. It's so
like they got to read. They got to relax. They got to garden. It sounds like a wonderful retreat.
They got sanctuary.
No, but it just seemed like a really great place for women to thrive. And it probably carried women through the centuries to read and be educated and have opportunities to learn.
Yeah. I know. It's so cool. And, you know, the people that we collaborate with, I also appreciate that they're helping us grow through this too. Even things like, I'm always like, so how is this for women? Did they make progress in this period or not? And I feel like I'm getting pushback a little bit on that I'm
probably
asking it.
The people you're talking to, like, duh.
They're like, well, they're like progress for who and where. Like they always qualify it a little bit more, and I want these like bigger blanket things. And
well, you want it to fit in a box because that would make your brain feel good. Yeah, and I feel like that's never the case. We're like, actually, no.
Yeah,
it was good for 2 women at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
And those 2 women
and
thrived for all of an hour.
Yeah,
and then they went back in their box.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you know, it wasn't this wide sweeping, a monumentous event where all these women in that community thrived.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I think we just want that simple answer because it would be really great.
So, Brooke, what do you think we missed on this season?
Oh my gosh.
What didn't we talk about?
It's hard.
We need to?
That's a really hard question because I feel like I miss everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think obviously I'd love to dive deeper into so many of the themes we did. And I think there's opportunity to do that as we go into future seasons. But I don't know. I feel like every one of them left me wanting to learn more. I really loved, what was our aerospace episode?
Lady Lindy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loved that episode. It like lit me on fire. I went down a very deep rabbit hole of learning more about all women in aerospace dynamics and
Episode 29.
yeah, that was fun. And I went to the Krista McAuliffe Museum.
You did not.
I took myself on a little field trip.
Okay.
I like really wanted to be an astronaut back in the day. So I was like, how do I live in this state? And I've never gone to that museum.
Yeah.
So
Was it awesome?
it was awesome. It was a great day. Highly recommend.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, but now I also have several other museums of women in space that I have to go visit.
In season 1, we had an episode where we talked about the first woman to win gold at the Olympics for the 100-yard dash.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
And I loved that episode as an athlete. You're a student athlete.
Yep.
And I think we need more women in sports. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel like
I'm
would
here
be,
for that.
That'd be a fun theme to do in the
Okay,
future.
so let's call Abby Wambach.
Yep.
We'll get Mia Hamm.
Yeah.
We'll just go through. Let's just do a whole season on women's soccer.
I
feel like our audience would really enjoy that.
Yeah. Maybe we need to morph the podcast to like, hey, we used to play soccer in college, so now we're just going to talk about it nonstop.
That's a good question to our fans. Would you listen to a podcast with Brooke and Kelsie nerding out about U.S. women's soccer? It could be former ballers.
Former ballers. Oh my gosh. No, but seriously, sports history, I think could be a really cool
Oh my God, we could do
avenue.
like so much on that. I feel like there's a lot more of information about women in athletics than I think we think.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's a lot more published.
Well, I mean, your
available.
story that you shared in our episode on Title IX about, or was it Title IX? I can't remember, about your brother making the newspaper when you like scored a goal or won a game.
Oh, yeah.
Like you were the little sister of some athlete.
Yeah,
not
the
like
paper
your
listed
own name.
as my brother's sister.
Yeah.
Not even my name.
Yeah.
And that was in 2001?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sad. Yeah, but I think often women are overshadowed in sports and
Yeah, but, let's look at, so that was probably 20 years ago now, and now we have an all-female-owned soccer team.
yeah, it's amazing.
Like, so we can move mountains in short periods of time, and I think that that's happening more and more, which I'm super excited to see. And I think that was something I was surprised about throughout this season, and maybe last year too, is how many people have come to the podcast and listened to us that are enthusiasts of women's history.
Yeah.
And like, we've met some really cool fellow podcasters and
Yeah.
nonprofits and other women doing some really cool work. We went to the TED Talk
Yep.
this year, which was incredible, and had a chance to meet with tons of women that are doing some really innovative work. I did not know when we went to that we'd learn so much about maps
Yeah.
and geography, but I feel
so
like geography is definitely a topic we have not touched on this podcast.
Yeah. Seriously, I mean, there are world travelers, world explorers,
Hikers.
pirates. Like, there are things that we could
We
do.
have definitely not covered pirates. I would remember that.
Pirates.
Yeah. If anyone's putting votes in, I vote for pirates.
Yeah.
Women soccer players, pirates. What else?
I feel like women in STEM is something we haven't touched on enough. There are a lot of like female scientists.
I know, talking to Allie,
Yeah.
made me really want to do more women in science.
I mean, there's the obvious ones like Marie Curie or something like that.
Who's that? No, just
yeah,
kidding.
right. But there are so many other women, and like I love the story of Mileva Einstein.
Oh, I know.
Right, like her husband.
Well, we did do an
said,
episode on, not to cut you off, but what was the daughter that finished her father's work?
Yes, that's Banzhao. She was a historian.
Right. That was
Yeah.
cool. Sorry,
That
what were
was
you going to
very
say about
cool.
Einstein?
But Einstein's wife, she helped him co-write the theory of relativity. And but her name's not on the document.
Yeah.
And, the poor woman went to multiple universities that wouldn't give her degrees. Like, she attended class, did all the work, but they wouldn't give her a degree because she was a woman. Right? And then later they would give her a degree because she was a woman, but they had another rule now to keep women out of getting degrees, which was only 1 degree per household. And so because she and Albert Einstein were enrolled together.
But I feel like intellectuals marry intellectuals. Like, why would a genius like Einstein not marry an equal?
Yeah.
Not marry someone that he would be intellectually stimulating to him and value his work at the level that he valued his work. Right. Like Marie Curie, you already used her name, her husband as well. Like,
yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
So it's like, and we highlight often the male.
Yeah.
And not the female. So that could be a really cool topic of like the
power couples.
Yeah, power couples. Ooh. Why don't we talk about both?
Yeah.
Like we could do Michelle Obama.
Oh my God. Could we please do Michelle Obama?
I mean, there are some powerhouse couples out there that would be really cool, that like very easy to bring them both in. Like the Roosevelts are always a really good example.
Yeah, love them.
There's just like some really good pairings of couples that would be a really interesting topic.
Like Martha and George Washington.
Oh, she funded the war.
Yeah.
I mean, like
we could get the ladies' man back. He's amazing.
So good. He was amazing. But yeah, I think that would be really fun. I think there's so many women scientists that came out through World War II too, like Rose Code, like women coders, like that kind of stuff would be really interesting. So yeah, all those things would be really fun to kind of dig into more and more.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we'll have to spend some time in our break here from our season brainstorming the path forward. If you listeners have some ideas that you want to share with us, send them along. We're open. You can find us at www.remedialherstory.com.
You can bombard Kelsie at remedialherstory.com.
At gmail.com or at Gmail. Yeah. And 100 episodes, Brooke.
Are you tired? I know Tyler, our editor, is probably tired.
Tired of hearing our voices.
Tyler, we love you. Yeah, we don't do this alone. That's definitely, and our Patreons. Oh my gosh.
Right? So grateful to them.
So loyal.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who's been listening and following along on the journey. We're really excited. We do have some ideas that we're not sharing about the format for next season.
You gotta come back to learn.
Yep. So stay tuned. We will be back. We're excited.
Thanks, Kelsie.
Thanks, Brooke.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to Remedial Herstory, the other 50%. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts to bring more voices to the conversation. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.